Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Joey Galvez, one half of your host of Explain Yourself, and I want to let you guys know about a really cool book from our friend of the show, Eli Shockey. This one is called The Greylock, and it's a story where magic is a commodity. Potions are sold at corner stores. Orcs and dwarves earn a living in cubicles, not on the battlefields. But there are those who resist the house's magic's laws. Branded a criminal and forced to live as a wand for hire, there is a spell slinger they call the Greylock. Check this one out. You guys can pre-order issue 3 right now with code JAN241939, and make sure you guys are heading over to your favorite LCS and letting them know that you want Greylock number 3, and maybe pick up the first 2 issues. You could do that at the Scout web store. So make sure you guys are grabbing the Greylock number 3, JAN241939 at previewsworld.com.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of All Too Real
2.
My name is Michael E. Cullen II, and with me, as always, is...
Matthew the Winter Soldier Pass.
Word.
Yep.
So, today on the show, I don't know what just happened to my voice. I became Andy Rooney there for a second or something. Today on the episode, folks. Anyways, we are... Isn't it weird? Oh, anyway, so, we are covering episode 4 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the Disney Plus Marvel television series. We are covering episode 4, which is entitled The Whole World is Watching, which is an appropriate title here. It was directed by Kari Skogland, who's directed all the episodes, and written by Malcolm Spellman and Derek Kolstad. First off, Matt, what was your initial reaction to this episode? What do you think of it?
It was really intense. I watched it 3 times, actually. I loved it. I mean, my reaction was just, the ending, just really, really intense. With that music that was playing and everything, it was just, and the imagery as well. I mean, it was executed in more words than one, perfectly. Really one of the best endings so far in the MCU is like in TV world, in my opinion.
I agree. I think there's a lot of layers to this episode, and a lot of I think commentary on the current world situations that we have going on here with Black Lives Matters and cops and just lots of things in the world and the whole, order of the world in a way.
Yeah.
I think that, it's hard to say which is my favorite episode so far, but I really do like this episode. A lot does happen. So I asked in our Facebook group, the All Too Real 2 podcast group, what people thought of the latest episode. And Manuel Sutton said, "The new Captain America is a prick." And then Dave Haas, who I think you know.
Yeah. I think so.
I believe he helped create you. He
Spent some time together.
Yeah, your dad said, agree with Emmanuel. Battlestar is a better hero than him. So, there we go. That's all we had this week as far as comments go. Yeah. Be sure to comment in there anytime we say something like this, and we will mention you in the episode if you like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, this episode was 53 minutes long, which is the same length as the last episode. I'm liking the fact that these episodes are a lot longer than WandaVision episodes.
Yeah.
So you get a lot more action, more drama, and a lot of things happening here. So basically, where we left off last time, at the end of the episode, Io, from Wakanda, found Bucky. In this episode, we get a flashback to Io basically helping Bucky deprogram himself from the whole Winter Soldier thing. So we see her basically repeating all of the code words, and he's able to not become the Winter Soldier because, basically the Wakandans helped him, and probably Io is like the number one person that did it,
Yeah, that was such a moving scene for me, watching that a few times, actually. Each one, I see a little bit more nuance to what's going on. Like, he's reliving all of these moments from, like, different words that she says,
Yeah.
like furnace, freight car.
I think you've triggered me, Matthew. I am now the Winter Soldier.
No. But yeah, they showed, like, the glimpses of what's going on, him being programmed. Initially, the first time, him doing his activity, him killing Tony's parents, Tony Stark's parents. And then, she, after she gets done reciting the words, and he hasn't turned yet, she says, "You are free," 2 times, and then he cries for a little bit, and then all of a sudden he's just got this smile on his face. He can't help himself from smiling. And keep in mind, that was probably only about just weeks before Infinity War came out. I mean, the timeline.
Yeah.
Like he said, like when he had a little bit of calm in Wakanda, like we're talking about like a matter of weeks or maybe a few months at the very most. And then it was on to the next worldwide battle. And then he's one of the ones that got dusted. So then he returned 5 years later, but to him, it was pretty much just moments later, as far as consciousness was concerned. So, like, Io, kind of felt, betrayed that, he broke out Zemo because he's the one that killed King T'Challa in, was it Winter Soldier or Civil War?
T'Chaka, yeah.
T'Chaka, sorry.
Civil War, yeah. T'Challa is Chadwick Boseman's character.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
All right. Yeah, he killed King T'Chaka and then framed it on Bucky or James Barnes. And so, she's like, it took a lot of time and resources to deprogram you, and, this is kind of what you do to us, is you break out the guy who killed our king. And it wasn't just the fact that, their king died, but, they were the royal guard, it was their,
yeah.
it was not just their job, it was their, life purpose to protect the king.
Yeah.
And they failed to do so it brought shame onto them, at least, in their minds, that, so it's like, there's a lot of hurt feelings, not just hurt feelings, a lot of very nasty feelings about the fact that they helped him And plus two, although she didn't mention it, but I'll say it. I think there is kind of a racial connotation to that too. You know, we always hear all these stories about black people helping white people find themselves and stuff like that. And here we have literally an African country helping this guy get back to who he was, and then he goes, you know what I mean? I mean,
yeah,
granted,
it's the whole Legend of Bagger Vance sort of thing. The whole what they call the magical Negro.
Right. I mean, I wouldn't say this is exactly like that.
No, but
like,
it's similar kind of concept.
It's just the idea that, like, you know, this African country, literally, because when she said time and resources, that makes me think it wasn't just reciting the words back to him that was able to deprogram him. Like, there must have been other things, you know what I mean, that allowed him to be deprogrammed. Yeah. I don't think it was just constantly reciting the words over and over until he couldn't change. You know what I mean?
Well, and I mean, even that, yeah. Even if it wasn't, you know, just, you know, there's the basic resources of housing and feeding him.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
yeah,
I mean, that too. Yeah. I mean, it's just.
Yeah. So there's that going on.
And his response to everything is basically that it's the means to an end. Which makes sense. Right. I mean, basically, he's basically the only one that can help them in this situation right now.
Right. And this whole episode is pretty much about means to an end. Like, literally. Yeah. Everything about this episode is about, do the ends justify the means? And every single main character is having this question right now going on.
Yeah. So after that, Zemo helps find Carly Morgenthau at a funeral for her adopted mother. Basically, Walker, John Walker, aka the new Captain America, and Hoskins, the Battlestar, basically intercept them on the way to the thing. I mean, it was an interesting way that Zemo helped them find it. It was through he gave candy to kids.
Yeah,
it was kind of creepy in a way.
Yeah, it's like, I got a van full of candy. You know,
yeah,
it's Turkish delights.
Yeah,
which I actually like Turkish delights. A lot of people don't like them. I kind of like. I think they're good candy. But
yeah. Turkish delight on a moonlit night. Take me back to Constantinople. No, you can't go back to Constantinople. Been a long time gone. Constantinople, get the works. It's nobody's business but the Turks.
Wow.
Sorry. Anyways, anytime I hear Turkish delight, it just reminds me of that song.
Oh.
You know, Istanbul, not Constantinople.
Yeah.
Made famous by They Might Be Giants.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the name of that band. You know, Istanbul, what that word means.
What does it mean?
Islam has conquered, I think is what it means.
Really?
That's why they changed the name, because when the Muslims took over, started the Ottoman Empire, because Ottoman is basically just a Turkish variation of Uthman, and Uthman is named after the third caliph in Islam, Sunni Islam. The Shias believe that Ali was meant to be the first caliph. And Istanbul, and Turkish, because Turkish language is like 20% Arabic and 80% its own language. And so when they took over, they changed the name of the city to Istanbul to say Islam has conquered. To basically put their mark. People do this shit all the time. It's not just Muslims. Christians do the same shit. But it's just a way of like saying we're in charge now.
It's funny that they changed it from Constantinople, which was named after Constantine.
Exactly.
Who is a Christian leader anyway? So it was like
it was just a change of power. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, my thing is the name of this town was already basically saying Christianity was better.
Exactly. It's just what it's like. Power changed hands is all it was. Now, I know it's a weird tangent I'm going on, but like Erdogan, who's the dictator of Turkey. He calls himself president, but he's pretty much a dictator. And he's so like in the Hagia Sophia. How do you say it? Hagia Sophia.
I'm not sure.
There's a temple called the Hagia or the Hagia Sophia in Turkey, and excuse me, even during the reign of the Ottoman Empire for most of its reign, which is like lasted like about like 600 years or something like that, or maybe a little bit longer. And they even during that time when it was like clearly like Islam dominates that area, that temple was like a neutral zone, it wasn't like a mosque. It was everyone could worship in that same place. So Jews could go in there, Christians, Muslims, even some of the people who maybe had like a sort of like pagan pre-Islamic Turkish religion or whatever, they could all worship in that place, and it was meant to be kind of like a universal like neutral zone or whatever. But Erdogan last year, because he's trying to consolidate power to himself to become a dictator in that country, and he's using Islam as like his conservative Islam as sort of like his power base or whatever. Because Turkey used to be actually, I know it's got nothing to do with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Just bear with me. So Turkey used to be like a secular, nationalist state, and so much so that they actually changed the Arabic alphabet into Latin. They made the Muslim men wear like Western style suits. They made the women like take off the hijab. Like they literally like forced like European, like modern type of European dress and language and culture onto the people, even though most of them were religious Muslims, and they tried to like basically like indoctrinate them out of that kind of belief system and culture for like 30-40 years straight. And then all of a sudden back in the 80s or late 70s, conservative Islam started to become ascendant again. And so then because a lot of those guys were businessmen, really successful businessmen. And you know how that always goes. When the people have got the money, they pay off the government, the whole symbiotic relationship. Yes, it's got nothing to do with Falcon. And then so he, long story short, because that's his power base, that's where his money comes from as well. So he's using that base to consolidate power to himself. And then he officially turned the Hagia Sophia into a mosque last year, basically as his way of saying, like, fuck you, like, everyone else, like, I'm becoming your dictator. This is a mosque now. I don't give a shit for the past 1,000 years that this place was like a neutral zone. Now it's a mosque. Either get over it or complain about it, and I'll arrest your ass. And that's my review of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The whole world is watching. Sometimes you get history lessons here, So
yes. So back to the show. So Zemo basically through this little kid helped find out where the funeral was going to be. After both Sam and Bucky tried as well and failed because nobody was talking to them, Mm-hmm. So basically he got them to tell by giving little kids candy.
Yeah, it sounds bad. But also, too, he told them that Sam and Bucky were bad people and don't trust them.
Yeah.
So he's got his own little agenda, like usual.
Yeah, I'm sure he does. So basically, they get to the funeral. After Walker and Hoskins kind of joined them. And Sam wants to speak to Carly. And basically Walker wants to go in guns a-blazing and just basically take her,
Yeah.
They give Sam a little bit of time to talk to her, and she's basically realizing this whole thing. I mean, it's like there was earlier at one point, forgot too, that she had gotten the rest of the super soldier serum from underneath the grave of one of her comrades, who it was underneath the grave of his grandfather, who had fought in World War II, and he talks about how he was a fan of Captain America for years, you know. So that'll come into play later.
Yeah.
So so she has in like a little I don't know, it's like a fanny pack. This whole like a few doses of this super soldier serum.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's at the funeral for her adopted mother, Mama Danya. Anyways, the so she gives this like really impassioned like eulogy at the thing and speech about what they're fighting for, basically. And Sam's up in a balcony at the location there, and she sees Sam while she's giving her speech. She basically, Sam goes in to meet with her. Like I said, Walker wanted to go in guns a-blazing and basically take her, you know. Take her either into custody or kill her, you know.
Yeah.
Because he's all about, you know, fighting and not, you know, negotiating, basically.
Yeah.
So Wilson speaks with Morgenthau alone after the funeral and attempts to persuade her to end the violence that she's been perpetrating. And while this happens, Walker's too impatient, and he decides that he needs to intervene and get in there, you know.
Yeah.
So what happens here, Matt?
Well, you know, Carly predictably thinks Sam, you know, set her up so that, you know, it would give him back up enough time to arrest her or whatever. So, and pretty much ruins any kind of goodwill that he had already made with her. Because, you know, he was already kind of getting her to sort of see his point of view a little bit by kind of tricking her into like sounding like a villain without realizing that that's what she's talking about, because then she caught herself and it was like, no, that's not what I meant, you know. You're tricking me to sound like, you know, one of those people, because earlier, so Zemo, you know, is still going on his whole idea that the very concept of a super soldier, you know, leads to problems. So like, no matter the intentions of the person, like what side they're on, the very concept itself inherently will lead to like more trouble. Like, even if you're doing good, it's like, it's best to just not even have that kind of person around, no matter what. Just like, if you want to do good, just do it without it, because with it, it's going to come with a whole host of all their problems. And he referred to them as supremacists, and he lumped in the Avengers with them because he has not really forgiven them for what they did, or what they caused, I guess, by accident. Because, you know, Tony accidentally created Ultron. It wasn't on purpose, but he did. And that's what led to his family being killed in Sokovia.
And I mean,
So-
he isn't wrong. I mean, basically,
he's not.
it's because, I mean, we as the viewers, we are on the side of the side of the Avengers. It's just they sometimes do things that are not right because nobody's perfect, and
Right.
you know, it's kind of like the basic concept. I mean, that falls into this and almost any superhero thing is like what Harvey Dent said in The Dark Knight, where it's like, you know, you either die a hero or you live long enough to become the villain.
Yeah, exactly. Because once you build a power base, now politics get involved, and you have to govern somehow. And there's always going to be people that don't agree with your form of government, and then you have a choice to make. Either you go through with all your plans without any resistance, and you just quell any resistance you have because you know best, and they're just going to have to deal with it somehow, or you listen to the people's concerns, and but then you risk not getting your plans done in a timely manner or done at all, or you have to compromise a little bit so you don't really get to actually do what you really wanted to do. And then, depending on your personality, if you have an all or nothing type personality, getting half of what you want doesn't amount to shit because it's not really what you have in mind. So it's not going to work at all if you can't get, like, the people who have that kind of person. I kind of have that personality a little bit. So it's like kind of like basically the idea for people like me, I guess, like, because I'm kind of like that myself. It would be like saying like building half of a car. It sounds nice, but you need the whole car in order for it to drive. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? You can't just say, oh, I'll put two wheels on, or I'll do the back half or the front half. The whole car needs to be assembled in order for it to run effectively.
Yeah.
So Zemo is basically, that's what he believes is, but then even he starts talking like that, saying that, super soldiers should not be allowed to exist. So then Bucky's like, well, you sound like you're talking like a god now, that you're saying that they can't exist or they must not allow to exist. So there's a lot of this idea of supremacism, but also to using supremacism in order to end other forms of supremacism, like Zemo, and then we find out later on Carly, when Sam is kind of sort of trying to deprogram her a little bit on in his way, almost like how Io deprogrammed Bucky a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So like he's saying like, well, I was just talking to a man who knows more about super soldiers than anyone on the planet, and he said that you're a supremacist. And she's like, no, that's ridiculous. I'm trying to end supremacy, and they're the ones that are supremacists. And he's like, okay, well, do you have more, serum? And she's like, yeah. So, and he's like, okay, you're going to build an army, right? And she's like, yeah. And it's like, well, you're killing innocent people. And she's like, they're not innocent. They're just roadblocks on my way to get what I need to get done. And it's like, it just sounds like a terrorist would say,
It's basically what she's doing is she doesn't understand that she's fighting fire with fire.
Right.
Because, I mean, the basic idea, you can't win. I mean, it's like you can't create peace through war. I mean, you can, but it's like it's still war.
Well, sometimes you can, but
I mean,
it comes at a very high price.
Yeah, I was gonna say the ends might justify the means, but basically you're doing something bad to try to create something good, but you're still doing something bad. It's a philosophical thing that you just gotta, it's like you can't, like I said, you can't fight fire with fire and then claim that you're not an arsonist.
Right. You can't do the exact same. So like, for example, like, in my opinion, fighting the Nazis was a noble act, and the Nazis had to be destroyed. But so, for example, the Nazis practiced stuff like eugenics. Well, they got the idea from eugenics from America. But okay. Aside from that, they were practicing all kinds of like weird scientific experiment. Okay, that happened again in America. Okay, anyway, so but like okay, so for example, like Nazis would like rape like women and stuff. As like war crimes and shit like that, right? So
another idea they got from America.
Right. Well, I'm saying is
that's just America, not from America. Yeah. That's been around since.
Been around since the beginning. It's meant to humiliate your enemies. Yeah, and literally seed your enemies with your seed. It's very very barbaric type of mentality. But like, and that's what it's about. It's meant to humiliate the men and also destroy the women's psyche. But anyway, so like, because the Nazis are doing that, right? So if the Americans came in and started raping German women, that would be bad. Just because the Nazis are bad doesn't mean you can go around doing that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that would be something like that. Or let's say if the Nazis were...
It's the whole idea that... I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's like basically like where we've got this whole idea where police are above the law or something, where, you know, you've got somebody... It's like, sure, George Floyd tried to steal something, but he didn't deserve to die for that.
Right. That is not the penalty for $20.
He deserved a fair trial and to be sentenced to jail or whatever for the crime. You know what I mean? He didn't deserve to have his neck pressured by somebody's knee for 9 fucking minutes. You know, I mean,
exactly.
It's so basically that's where it is. It's like, and even if he were a murderer, it's still not within the right of someone to kill that murderer, you know?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's the thing, too, I get pissed off about that. And this show goes into that as well, where I see so many people comment on Facebook where they're like, well, that's what I would have done, and we're all human. It's like, yeah, but see, the thing is, soldiers and law enforcement, they're trained to handle certain situations in a very specific manner. That's the reason why that's their job. So you can't use the argument of me as a civilian would do this thing, a thing that I don't get paid to do and I don't get trained to do. So therefore, a person who is paid to do this thing and who is trained to do this thing, it's okay if they do it. I'm like, your argument literally makes no sense at all. Like they're literally trained to handle that situation in a certain manner. So they're not supposed to let their emotions get to them. And yes, if they do, then they should then be held accountable for that. It's basic logic. It's not that hard to comprehend.
No.
But a lot of people seem to be very hard to comprehend it. So,
do you want to take a quick break here, Matt, and then we'll come,
sure.
But yeah, we'll come back and we'll talk about the rest of this episode and also how it applies to our current society.
Yeah,
we'll be right back.
What is Gen X? What is the silent generation? What do generations have in common? Hi, I'm Trish the Dish from the Gen X Voice podcast, and I invite you to listen to conversations I have with folks from different generations, backgrounds, beliefs, and experiences in an attempt to see what connects rather than divides us. Even though Gen X has been called slackers, Karens, or not mentioned at all in some cases, we are the bridge generation, so I feel compelled to do my part to destroy ageism by bringing all these voices together. And, as a bonus, each guest gets to answer some 80s questions at the end of each show. So download and listen to Gen X Voice today on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's see how much we have in common after all.
Hi, this is Catherine, host of a new fashion podcast, The Real Fashion School Dropout. Join me as I interview guests every week in the fashion and beauty space, and we gossip on all things fashion and beauty, and even get into some personal stories of their journey in the industry. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. Hope to see you there.
And we are back. Okay, so next, so like I said, Walker and Walker kind of goes in, you know, all guns a-blazing.
Yeah.
And like we said, Morgenthau is convinced that basically Sam set her up, which he didn't. At this time, Zemo escapes too. He was handcuffed to like a boiler or something in the building, and he escapes. And What happens next here, Matt?
Yeah, he uncuffs himself somehow, and they're Bucky is trying to go after Carly because he's got the super strength as well, and they're like scaling stairs and rooftops or whatever, and Zemo ends up shooting Carly.
Yeah.
And which again is kind of weird because like I always assumed that like having super strength, like you'd be able to withstand bullets. I thought Steve could, but maybe he had more of it or something. Maybe they got like a smaller dose because they're like divvying it out between more people. Or
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. It might just give you strength. It might not give you super healing.
Right, but I'm pretty sure Captain was probably stabbed at least a few times in his life. You think that at some point he would have got shot or anyway? I don't know.
Maybe you heal. Maybe you don't heal fast, but you can't die from it or something. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's
maybe.
Hard to say.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, she gets shot like in the stomach or something, or like maybe her side, and she's hiding behind like the boiler or whatever, and she drops all of the vials of the serum, and Zemo just starts stepping on all of them, because again, Zemo doesn't really want superpower for himself. He just wants that stuff gone. So he starts stepping on all of the vials, and he breaks them. It seems like he breaks them all, and then all of a sudden, John Walker throws a shield at his head and knocks him out. And then, as he's looking around, he sees that there's still one vial left intact, and he does this weird head tilt thing, which really creeps me out because he almost looks like an android when he does it, really inquisitive, this is how humans look, right?
It reminds me of have you seen the Halloween movies before?
Yeah.
It reminds me of Michael Myers when he does, because he does that thing when he after he kills somebody, he kind of admires them and does this head tilt. Yeah,
exactly.
Kind of reminds me of that.
Yeah, and so he ends up taking the vial and puts it in his pocket, and then that's when everyone else shows up. I think Battlestar was there. I think everyone else. They're like, "Oh, did I miss anything or whatever?" And then it kind of goes to Carly's talking to her comrade about what's going on. She ends up calling Sam's sister and basically threatens to kill her and her children if she can't have a meeting with Sam alone this time, because she thinks that Sam was working with the new Captain America. And Sarah, his sister, said, "No, I can tell you one thing: he is not working for that man at all." But she doesn't really believe her fully. And then so that's going on outside, and then back at the loft that Zemo owns, I think, and they're talking again, and they're arguing with each other. John basically threatens to fight Sam for no reason whatsoever. They're just getting into a regular argument. They weren't even yelling at each other.
He's like, I'll put down the shield. Let's do it man on man. Sort of.
So it's again, this guy is a freaking short fuse. He should not be a soldier.
No.
And again, it goes back to that whole idea of oh, well, that's what I would do. It's yeah, but you're not a soldier. You're trained to be a certain way. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be doing that as a job or any. It's any other career where if I worked at a grocery store as a bagger or a cashier, and I'm being trained for how many weeks, how many months, whatever, and 2 years go by and I still can't do that job correctly, I would be fired. But somehow when it comes to the army, the military, and the police, we're expected to give them more leeway than we would to a cashier who can't do their job. I'm shouldn't we be giving more leeway to the cashier because they're not threatening anyone's lives by messing up? It makes our priorities. Yeah,
it's if a cashier gives out the wrong change, nobody's gonna die.
Exactly, but they'll get fired quicker, or they'll get reprimanded quicker than a soldier or a police officer. And again, I'm not bashing all soldiers and police officers. I'm just saying that not everyone is suited for that, literally and figuratively. So it's if you're not one of those people, cut your losses and just find something else to do. It's fine.
I mean, it's like
yeah.
anytime you're in a job that you have people's lives literally in your hands, whether it's a doctor or an EMT or a cop or or a mental health professional, something like that, you should be held to higher standards. And it seems like medical people are held to higher standards usually. I mean, sometimes they get away with shit too, but they're not. But like, you're going to lose your license if you do something wrong and kill somebody on the table sometimes, you know what I mean? But if you're a cop or in the military, a lot of times you don't lose your job if you kill somebody.
It's just bizarre. It really is. So yeah, they're getting into this. John Walker's trying to pick this fight, and then by the way, that reminds me too of earlier. So like Sam said, I used to work with soldiers like with trauma, like PTSD, and to try to like get them to like integrate back into like regular life, civilian life, and how to handle their triggers, like when something like a loud noise or a bad memory, so they don't spiral out of control and become violent or hurt themselves or other people. And John Walker's like, yeah, I know, and I know those type of soldiers, which is why I know that we can't reason with Carly. So he's like likening her to a soldier that he used to work with. So it's kind of like, are you then like almost commending her by saying that because you're comparing her to whatever? But really, he's talking about himself because the guy's got such a short fuse. I mean, like, and what else happened? I'm trying to remember the order of things.
So basically, then he contacts Sharon at some point, and she has like a satellite in view so she can kind of see where people are. So that just comes into play later. But Sam. Before that though, we do have the Dora Milaje come in to take Zemo. And
they come in.
Yeah, and while they're trying to, it's right before it's right after John tries to fight Sam, and so they come in there and they start fighting to get Zemo basically, and they get in this big fight with Battlestar, Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Captain America.
The new, too, but so again, that whole scene too. So like, John Walker then shows his disrespect to the Royal Guard, essentially, talking about let's put down the pointy sticks. It's like, come on. So again, it's like, when there's a reason why they used to be a thing, and I don't even know if they even do this anymore. The military used to have a thing where it would be like called like winning the hearts and minds of the people. So like they would have people where their whole job was to basically like learn about the culture, learn their language, talk to the people, and kind of earn their trust and to actually earn their trust, not just to trick them, but to like actually like forge relationships with these people. You got John Walker here talking about pointy sticks, and he tried to put his hand on the shoulder. I'm like, dude, this is the Royal Guard. You don't for a kingdom. You don't put your hand on the shoulder.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Like you gotta know this stuff. Like I mean, you gotta show proper respect. I mean, come on. Plus, too, she's a woman, so that's got another aspect to it. Like, should you really just be putting your hand on some woman's shoulder that you just met? Like, come on.
He's trying to tell them that they don't have jurisdiction there either.
Right,
and
he does.
And it's like, basically, they're just basically saying we have jurisdiction everywhere. It's
anywhere.
Like,
yeah, exactly. and so yeah, that fight was pretty awesome, by the way, too.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty well done. They fight, and while they're fighting, Zemo performs an El Chapo and escapes.
Yeah.
He has like a tunnel underneath underneath like his bathtub in his bathroom. And so he's escaped. So they don't get him. At one point too, the Io basically disassembles Bucky's arm.
Yeah.
Which was pretty sweet. And like he's looking at it like he didn't know his arm could do that.
It was just like some weird like hand motions she did, and it just went and fell down. And
yeah, it's like something that only Wakandans know, or only her and some other people.
It's like a combination, like a karate move where you do certain things and like and
then you kill somebody.
Yeah.
So after this happens, they the Dora Milaje, they leave, right? Then
yeah, they basically the one, she ends up picking up the shield to grab a hold of, like that's what Captain America did, I think. He would step on the shield to like have it flip up, but Io tells her to leave it to him, so he keeps it. Yeah, they end up leaving then.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, technically, that shield belongs to Wakanda.
Yeah, because it came from vibranium.
Yeah. So yeah.
And that wasn't the first one either. That was a different. They made like several of these. So. Yeah.
So technically, they have a right to it.
Yes, it's their resources, which again kind of goes back to the whole colonized mindset of, this is your minerals. We're going to take it for our own purposes. Well.
Yeah. And it's also symbolic in my mind too, of the whole fact that basically this whole thing is like, I mean, without Wakanda there is no Avengers, there is no all of this, and it's like it's kind of the cradle of civilization sort of thing in Africa.
It is. I mean, literally, of all the superheroes, originally comes from there. And they split off into different groups. You had the people up in the mountains. They were, they had different philosophy, but. So like Tony Stark probably wouldn't have become Iron Man.
Yeah.
Captain America definitely would have become Captain America. Yeah. So
then next we have Sam goes to meet with he plans to go meet with Carly. And Bucky insists that he goes with him.
Yeah.
And so what happens then?
I don't know. I don't remember if this happens after or before that, but Lamar and John are at a food court at a mall at some point, and they're talking about whether they would take the serum if they were offered it. I'm not sure if that happens during this time.
Yeah, I mean, and basically. Lamar says he would, and this echoes the scene earlier with where Sam is asked the same thing.
Right. Yeah. Zemo asked Sam, and he's like, "No."
Yeah.
And Lamar says, "Yeah." He's like, "Hell yeah, I'll take it." And then he's like, "Well, what about you or whatever?" And he's like, "Well, wouldn't you be worried if it changed you?" And he says, "Well, is that the whole thing, that power just makes you more of who you already are, type of thing?" So, which is literally what the doctors tell Steve in the first Captain America movie. So it kind of goes back to that whole thing. And
basically, I mean, it's just implying that, because like Red Skull became bad when he took it, and Steve became good. He just became amplified,
Mm-hmm.
The true like American hero that he is, So when Morgenthau and Wilson they get together, and they have this meeting, and Walker and Hoskins show up as well later, and they engage in a fight with other members of the Flag Smashers. And then in the situation, there's like this big, huge fight, and Morgenthau accidentally kills Hoskins. Which then, of course, enrages Walker. And they're in this town square, and the guy that we saw earlier who said he was a fan of Captain America when he was a kid, his name is Nico, and he's one of Carly's, right-hand men. And Walker chases him out of the building and stuff like that, and then in front of a bunch of horrified spectators in like this town square, he takes his shield on top of Nico and smashes him to bits, basically. And then we end the episode with this blood smeared on the bottom of the shield. This is Disney, by the way.
Yeah. And the music's got this really like dark music and intense music, and he's like, and what's scary about this scene, right? So like, for one thing, there's so much imagery here, it's ridiculous of how much they threw in here. So he's literally using a shield as a piercing weapon. A shield.
Yeah, which is not meant to be. It's meant to be something to protect people. Not
exactly.
Yeah.
So he's using that as a weapon to murder or to kill, and it's got blood on the shield. So then that represents that this is not your grandpa's Captain America, and then the whole world's watching, so everyone's recording on their cell phones. And what scared me the most about this, though, is that he had like this look of defiance on his face. Like he was not even like embarrassed. Like it was almost like, "What are you gonna do about it?" type of thing, which is really scary. Because my feeling is that episode 5, this is gonna lead to a lot of political unrest in the United States. You're gonna have ultra conservatives agreeing with what he did because they love violence.
Yeah.
Against minorities and other people that they consider to be unsavory and surly or whatever. So they're going to be cheering him on like, yes, he's more violent than the original Captain America. I love it, And then other people are going to be like, no, like that's not what Captain America's supposed to be doing. He's not supposed to be killing people, especially in such a gruesome manner of stabbing them with a shield multiple times, And like he was doing that weird head tilting thing again he was doing earlier when he got the serum for the first time, and that head tilt thing freaks me out. I don't know what it is.
We forgot to mention that he took the serum.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he ended up actually taking the serum during that fight when they took Lamar. They kidnapped Lamar and they tied him up or whatever, and then Lamar cut himself out, and then that's what happened. So basically, Carly was about to kill John's going to stab him or whatever, and then that's when, well, I don't know if it would kill him, but Lamar didn't know that, so he went to jump in right at the last moment, and then she punched him really hard, and then he flew up against like a wall or some kind of thing that broke his neck, essentially.
It was like a pillar in the building.
Yeah, pillar. Yeah. Which again, pillar, that's an interesting symbolism right there as well.
Yeah.
Pillars of justice, pillars of, whatever, and so interesting.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole world is watching is like an interesting title for this episode because you've got all these people, watching at the end there. Do you want to take a break here, Matt, and then we can come back and we can talk about our some trivia and our speculation for what might happen in the next episodes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, we'll be right back, folks.
It's the Ninja from the Ask the Angry Ninja Show saying, come listen to the show. We got the Ninja Wife to give you your movie reviews. We got the Conscript to give you the Ninja News. And we got the Battle to talk about your sports. And as always, it is the Ask the Angry Ninja Show. So Ask me a question, we'll give you the ninja knowledge you need for your ninja life. Search for us anywhere you get your podcast from. Just search for the Ask the Angry Ninja Show and enjoy the show.
And we are back. Okay, so here's some trivia that I found here. This is the first appearance of Wakanda since the passing of Chadwick Boseman. So this is the first time Wakanda's appeared, the actual, land of Wakanda. Bucky as White Wolf is different from the comic persona, as in the comics, White Wolf is the loyal adopted brother of Wakanda's King T'Challa, and is the chieftain of the Hatut Zarazi, the country's secret police, and a brutal warrior. The title of the episode is a line from Black Panther when Okoye warns T'Challa of exact same thing as he prepares to execute Ulysses Claw in front of a large crowd of bystanders who are all recording his actions on their smartphones. In this episode, John Walker does murder a member of the Flag Smashers in front of a large crowd of bystanders who are all recording his actions on their smartphones. The first time Captain America's shield, which is made of vibranium, is claimed by a Wakandan. In this case, a member of the Dora Milaje. Wakanda is the location of the majority of the rare vibranium metal. However, at Io's behest, the shield is immediately returned to John Walker. So yeah, like we mentioned earlier. So that's a little bit of trivia that we have there.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you speculate? So online, there's a rumor that there's going to be which we had when we watched WandaVision as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's a rumor that there's going to be a big cameo in the next episode.
Okay. Well, I'll believe it when I see it, or if I see it.
If there is going to be one, who would you like it to be, Matt?
It would be cool if, I don't know if when they filmed this, but if it was before Chadwick Boseman and before he died, if he would show up, that would be pretty cool. I don't know if when they started filming this or not.
Yeah.
But I think Okay, well, aside from that, besides him, I would like a cameo. Do you mean like an actor or like a character?
Well, it's a character. Yeah.
Oh, character. Okay.
I mean, it could be somebody we've already met or another Marvel character.
Marvel character.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Well, we're in Europe. I don't know. I think it would be kind of cool if we found out that Steve is still alive and he's going to have to come out of retirement to sort of like sort this stuff out a little bit, at least from like the perspective of speaking. 'Cause I don't think he'll have the strength anymore to. I mean, he'll still have some strength, kind of like how Isaiah has it, but not enough to actually fight. You know what I mean? Really well, but so like. To basically play diplomat.
Like old Steve or something?
Well, yeah, what I mean is because this takes place 6 months after that, so I'm assuming he probably will still be alive. Who knows? But because Bucky is, he's around the same age as. Did they explain that? Why Bucky never ages, but Steve did? Is there a reason for that, or?
Well, Steve went back in time and lived all those years.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly why Bucky doesn't, but it's like something within the serum or something. And
well, yeah, because Steve went back in time, but still Bucky was alive that whole time too. So, or maybe they call him the Winter Soldier because they freeze him for a while every time.
I think they do put him in cryostasis or something.
So he'll probably age normally then now or something like that. Okay, all right.
I have my guess of who it might be somebody that's in the Black Widow movie that's coming out.
Red Guardian, that would be awesome.
Either him or it could be Florence Pugh's character, who is supposedly going to be the new Black Widow.
Okay.
Maybe her. But all of this would make more sense if the movie had already come out when it was supposed to.
Right. Yeah, because they had yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, it could be nobody. It could be somebody. I mean, it could be anybody. I mean, it could be... It could be somebody from an upcoming series. I mean, maybe it'll be Nick Fury. You know, who knows?
Oh, it could be Santa Claus, because Santa Claus is a mutant in the Marvel universe. So
yes,
and we are in Europe, so you know.
Yes.
So
I think it's gonna be like random guy number 3 from the Fantastic Four movie of that was never released. The Roger Corman. Yeah.
Did we review that one yet or not? I don't remember. I know we watched it.
Yeah, we reviewed it. We just haven't released the episode yet. We will sometime soon.
I totally forgot about.
I know.
It was not a good movie.
Well, yeah, that'll be coming up soon, so stay tuned for that, folks. But anyways, overall, I really liked this episode, and I can't wait to see where this is going. We got 2 more episodes, so a lot's got to happen in these 2 episodes.
Yeah, because they kind of stretched this out a bit, so now they need to really ramp up the speed here a little bit.
I mean, by the end, I think somehow Sam's going to become. He's going to become Captain America, but it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how that happens. It'll be interesting to see what happens, like if there's some kind of any kind of I don't know, like any kind of way for Carly to overcome her fears, or if she's going to end up dead,
Yeah, either she'll end up dying a martyr, or while fighting, or she'll get killed right as she realizes the wrongness of her ways. That's a common trope. Or she'll basically allow herself to be imprisoned for her, terrorist crimes or whatever type of thing. Yeah. One of those 3 is probably. I think John Walker is probably going to become agent, or the one where he's wearing the black suit. So he's just going to become basically a right-wing terrorist. Essentially. Well, I don't know, because in this he's not really political in this whatever you call it, rendition or
I mean, I don't think he's going to become a white supremacist or anything. Yeah, I think it's more he's more of a by all means necessary sort of guy. You know what I mean? So it's
he's just an authoritarian. He doesn't really have any. His best friend was black. His wife, I think, was maybe I don't know if she was white or not. I couldn't tell, but
she was at least mixed. So yeah,
right. So it's he doesn't really have the symbols of being like a hardcore right wing whatever type person. So he's just inherently he's an authoritarian. It's just part of his personality. He wants to control things. He wants to punch, ask questions later. Which without Lamar now, he's going to be even worse, because Lamar was always the one that kind of talked him down. So
yeah, he was like the Jiminy Cricket on his shoulder, but he's not going to be there anymore. It's like
right.
Yeah,
that really sucks, because I like this character a lot. I wanted him to be around, but
my thing is I think some people are saying that they thought they saw Lamar moving.
I did at first, but I watched it 2 more times and I didn't see anything.
Yeah, my thing. Who knows? He still could be alive, because you cut away from it and you never know what happened afterwards.
Yeah, because when I first watched it, I thought I saw him twitch a little bit, but it looked more like it didn't look like nerves like when someone's dead. It looked like he was trying to move. But then I watched it 2 more times and I didn't really see that. The second, third time.
So who knows? I mean, it could be even harder on John if Lamar is still alive.
And paralyzed or something, or
what I mean is the fact is that he killed Nico.
Oh, right.
kind of in revenge for Lamar's death.
Right.
But then you got to come to the realization that, whoa, I killed somebody, and then Lamar's not even dead. That'd be interesting.
For no reason.
That'd be an interesting way to go.
And it would be too, because Lamar could then change sides, which is what he does in the comics, right? He basically becomes Falcon, and then Falcon becomes Captain America. So we'll see.
Does he?
I thought so. I thought I read somewhere that he essentially he becomes not Falcon. He becomes like Falcon, how Falcon was to Captain America. He becomes that.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean? Like second in command or whatever type of thing. Like, so
yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah.
But again, though, Steve did not really view Sam as being second in command to him.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean, like, there's a lot of different things because, like, in the comic books, Bucky is his sidekick, and yeah, it's different. So yeah, and there's so many different continuities, so it's hard to say where this is going, but in its own continuity actually. So that's what'll make it interesting. So anyways, I really can't wait until next week. Please let us know what you thought of this episode on our Facebook group, or you can email me at mike@cullenpark.com, or you can go to all2real2.com and find everything there. Make sure you rate the show if you can.
Yeah.
Give us a 5-star rating if you like us. Tell us how much we suck if you don't. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm a 5-star man.
Are you?
Yeah.
I'm a 5-star general.
Cool.
In the military.
Can I play us out?
Yeah. Yeah. Before Matt plays us out, just make sure you get vaccinated if you can. So we can.
I got my first shot.
I got my first shot too. I'm getting my second one next week.
Cool.
And so get vaccinated. Wear a mask, people. Wear a mask.
Yes, keep wearing a mask even when you do get vaccinated, just for a little while.
Well, you have to anyways, it's because you can still pass it along.
Yeah.
And wear a condom.
Yeah.
All the time. All the
time.
Well,
yeah. Well, okay.
Wait.
Wait. Wouldn't that mean that you have to have an erection at all times?
Yes. So take Viagra. Wait.
I mean, I guess technically you could still wear it, but
it'd be loose. Maybe we need to rethink this, Matt.
Maybe we need to, yeah.
At least wear the mask, people. Okay, and here's Matt's new song. It's called "Wear a Condom." Here's Matt's new song.
Yeah, it's called "Wear a Condom," and the subtitle is "The Falcon and the Winter Soldier Both Wear a Condom." No. Oh gosh, why do we do this? Okay, so here we go, I guess.
Thank you.
Kind of got lost there.
That's okay. Well, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to All Too Real 2 podcast, a Cullen Park production. Produced and edited by Michael E. Cullen II. Music by Matthew Hawes. Subscribe and share the show. Visit us at cullenpark.com.